My name is John Roy, but I go by the Jack. For a number of years, I was president of Hydro Systems Company and eventually was chairman of the board. Nevertheless, we're going to talk about September 28th and the big anniversary of 50th anniversary of Hydro Systems. I did not found the company. There was an ad in the Cincinnati Enquirer, and I responded, and one thing led to another, and that was in the fall of 1978. So my history with Hydro Systems began in its 15th year of 1978 it was. Anyway, what it was at that time was a company that had primarily devoted to the pressure cleaning business and manufactured pressure cleaners, which it sold throughout the U.S. With through a number of distributors. That was about $2 million of annual business at that time. And the other $300,000 of business were what they called proportioning systems. Now, I didn't know much about either one of these two businesses, but I thought, well, I might as well find out. I ended up making an offer to buy 60% of the company. So we went on from there, and we did the deal in December of 1978. And that was the beginning of my history with Hydro Systems Company. I knew nothing about the pressure cleaning business. I didn't know anything about chemical proportioning either, but I came in and I decided I better learn quick. The company was not making money at that time, and I tried to learn as quickly as I could something about both those businesses. But I found out I was a very slow learner, so it took me about 5 years to learn that the pressure cleaning equipment business was a pretty bad business. And unfortunately, that was still 75 or 80% of the company. I was kind of fascinated with the chemical proportioning business. In the meantime, by 1983, which was almost 5 years later, I came upon a gentleman named Gary Golub. He had an agile mind, and I finally said, why don't you just do some research work for me, and I'll pay you to research the proportioning business and its suitability, because I'm thinking more and more that that's the future of this company, and not the pressure cleaning business. So Gary finally agreed to that, and he spent a couple of months and presented a lot of useful information about the proportioning business. And I finally persuaded him to come join the company and head up a marketing function, which he did. This was in early 1983. He and I had pretty well agreed that there was no future in the pressure cleaning business, and that we would ultimately have to find a way out of that business and make something of the proportioning business. In the meantime, we had other things we had to deal with. One, we were in two buildings in Gulf Manor that were on Weehee Road. I'll never forget that. We were in two rented buildings that were separated by another building in between that somebody else used. And this was a nightmare in terms of having any kind of an organized production function. Well, I told the employees that when I came in that there were three things we had to do. One, we had to increase our sales considerably, that there was not enough revenue coming into the company from either of those two businesses to produce any kind of a profitable business. So we had to increase sales, we had to increase profit, finally turn some profits. And finally, thirdly, we had to make Hydro Systems a better place to work. So we set out to accomplish those things. I wanted to explain why I have this frame here, because this is one of my favorite and most priceless mementos. It was given to me when I retired and from the company in the early 1997. The centerpiece shows all the signatures of all the employees of Hydro Systems at that time. And then it also shows some of the history that I'm going to talk about and tell you what that will give me some ability to show you history of the company that I was connected with. When I decided we needed a new building, we found the DeVoe Corporation owned a lot of property in Newtown on Round Bottom Road, and they had saved one big lot for themselves because they planned to build a new headquarters in Cincinnati. But I was able to persuade them to sell us the lot. And this is a picture of the first building that we built on Round Bottom Road in Newtown. And that was finally opened in the fall of 1980. We were still had the problems of not having enough sales and not having enough profit. We were working, at least we had done a lot on the third goal, which was to make Hydro Systems a better place to work. The new building was part of that, and we did a lot of work on the employee benefits to make it more attractive to become an employee at Hydro Systems. About 1988, we had reached the level of $5 million in sales, and the bulk of that was in the proportioning systems business, which had turned out to be a very, very smart move, as it turned out, because it was more profitable. It had we had less competition in that field, and we had some good engineering capability by that time, and we were on the way, so to speak. I think this was in Christmas of 1990. We're in the process of burning the mortgage on the money we borrowed to build the building in 1980. We finally paid off that money and had no more debt after that. In early 90s, the big item in our history was we established a branch company in the United Kingdom, in Great Britain, and that was to serve the European market, because we believed strongly that the success we had had with proportioning systems was something that we could take to other parts of the world, starting with Europe. We started in the early 90s and held at a branch, mostly a warehouse distribution center in Great Britain, about 30 miles outside of London. And that was later we started to do manufacturing there, and that today I understand is about a $20 million business. The bottom of this frame shows the sale of the company when we sold it to Dover Corporation in 1997, rather. I then retired fully at that time. Gary agreed to stay on at least 5 years. By that time he was already president and I was chairman. At any rate, that's a quick look at the history of the company. It's been an amazing thing to me that even though it's when we sold the business to Dover in early 1997, we were doing about 18 to 19 million total, and so sales had gone up. We met that goal. Profits definitely went way up, and we think we made Hydro Systems a better place to work. You folks have now carried on beyond that as part of Dover Corporation, where I think this year you're going to have a good chance of having total sales of 100 million and profits of at a high level. And I'm very happy to see all those good results. Lynn and I are both sorry that we cannot be there to join you in the celebration on the 28th, but we'll certainly be thinking about you and wishing you well. And we appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful celebration.